Hassler here. Today I'm going to go through the lesson that we did at the boards for 3-2. And then I will talk through some of the check your understanding on the backside, which is in your packet. So it says Frank is saving up for a pair of Beats Studio 3 headphones that cost $180. He currently has $65 saved up from his birthday money, and he is planning on tutoring students at school for $10 an hour. So it says discuss with your team how many hours Frank will have to tutor to make the amount of money he needs, and show how you determined your answer. So a lot of friends in class just logically thought through this, right? He has $180 that he has to save up in order to buy these headphones, but he already has 65, right? So I can take away the 65 I've already saved up. And when I do that, I have $115 that I still need. So I still need this money. So if I am tutoring at $10 an hour, I can take that $115 and divide by 10, which means that I'm going to have to tutor for 11 and a half hours, or we could say about 12 hours, right? In order to make that money in order to buy the headphones. And so this is just this logical thinking, talking through that process. First is we're in an algebra class, and so I'm going to write an equation, and I'm going to solve for x in order to do this, and check to see if that matches my equation. So again, step one was the intuitive way of thinking about it. I have $180 that I need to save up for. I already have 65. I still need 115. If I tutor for 11 and a half hours, by getting paid $10 each hour, I'll make up that money. But in algebra, not everything is, well, in life, not everything is easy to just logically think through. And so we can set up equations to represent situations. He needs to save $180, and he already has $65, plus he's going to add on $10 for every hour. We'll say X, every hour that he tutors. And so I want those two things to be the same. I want the $180 that I need in order to buy the headphones to match this side, right? The amount of money that I have saved up. And so then I can solve this equation based off of what we've been doing, right? I'm going to take 65 away on both sides. When I do that, I get 115. Well, that makes sense, right? And I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And when I do that, I get that X is 11 and a half hours, or about 12 hours of tutoring in order to save that money. And so problem one was just logically thinking through that calculation, and step two was writing an equation to help me get to that answer. So let's see what 3 has for us. 3 says, after buying the headphones, so this sounds to me like he's already saved up the money, he's bought the headphones. After buying the headphones, Frank decides he will turn his tutoring into a real business. The cost of getting business cards made and buying some supplies is $189. After paying for these costs, he will put the rest of the money he earns in his bank account. So it sounds like he's already saved up the $180. So we're kind of starting fresh with my savings. It says, how much money will Frank put into his bank account if he tutors 25 hours? Okay. So again, I'm just kind of logically thinking through this, right? 25 hours of tutoring times $10 per hour is $250 made from tutoring. And then I'm going to subtract the $189 that it's going to take for supplies. And when I do that, I only have $61 in the bank that I'm, contributing. So again, I'm logically thinking through this. Now, B says, write an expression that represents the money Frank puts in his bank account if he works X hours. And so the amount of money I'm putting in my bank account would be $10 for every hour that I tutor, minus the $189 that I'm going to spend on supplies, right? That's this part right here. So we did 25 times 10 because that was 25 hours. This says if he works X hours, so I have 10X instead of 10 times 25, minus the $189 I put into my account. Okay. Then it says Frank's goal is to put $200 into his bank account for savings. How many hours does he need to tutor to reach that goal? So you can logically think through this like we did in part 1, but I would also need to write an equation to match what's happening. Okay. And so again, I'm going to get $10 for every hour I tutor. I'm taking $189 and spending it on supplies. My hope is that when I'm done with that, I have $200 in my account, even after I've removed that $189. I'm going to go ahead and solve this equation. So I got to add $189 to both sides. I get 10x equals $389. If I divide by 10, I get that x is 38.9, or about 39 hours of tutoring to put $200 in my account. That's in addition to the 12 hours from up above. So this is what we worked through in class. Again, we discussed it, we logically thought through some things, and then we used an equation to set up and solve. So if you flip in your packet to the 3.2 lesson, check your understanding. We did these in our groups at our tables. We talked through how to set up equations and how to solve them. And so I'll talk through a couple of these, and then I need you to try some, and you can check my answer key or you can check in with me. It says Mateo buys a basil plant that is 22 centimeters tall, and it grows half a centimeter every day. Write and solve an equation that can be used to solve for the number of days D, they tell us what the variable is, until the plant has a height of 30. Describe the meaning of your answer in relation to the problem. So it looks like I have a plant that is already 22 centimeters tall, plus I grow half a centimeter every day. This half a centimeter every day, that's my rate. And so that's like my slope, right? This kind of feels like slope intercept form, right? I'm starting at 22 centimeters. My rate is half a centimeter per day. And now I want to know when I'm going to reach those 30 centimeters. So I can go ahead and solve. I like to draw my line through. I'm going to start by getting rid of the 22. And so I've got 1/2 D equals 8. 1/2, that's really like saying 1 divided by 2. So I could do the opposite and multiply both sides by 2. 1/2 is also 0.5, so I could divide both sides by 0.5. There's lots of ways to do this. And in the end, I get 16. And so describe the meaning of your answer in relation to the problem. That means that it will take 16 days to reach 30 centimeters. Now, I can always check this. Right, I can check by saying, all right, I started at 22 centimeters. I grew half a centimeter for 16 days. Does that equal 30? And if I type that in my calculator, it does. So I would like you to, take a look at problem 2. I'm going to do problem 3 with you. The equation P equals 6.31H plus 41.5 can be used to predict the points earned P by a student on an organic chemistry final based on the number of hours H that he or she studies. To earn 95 points on the final, how many hours does the model suggest someone should study? So in the first problem, we had to come up with our own equation. In this problem, the equation is given. They say that P is the points earned and H is the hours. They also tell us the points earned, and I want to know what H would be. So in my equation, I can actually replace P with the 95. If I get 95 points, that means I want to know how many hours I would have to study to make that happen. So in this case, the equation was given, and we are substituting the number given into one of our variables. And again, we just have to read carefully to know which variable to plug it into. It says 95 points, and points is P. Now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to solve this. So I'm going to subtract 41.5 on both sides. And that gives me 53.5 equals 6.31H. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6.31. And when I do that, I get 8.48, or about 8.5 is equal to H, so 8.5 hours of studying in order to get those 94 or 95 points. Whew, it's a lot of studying. All right, and so again, your job would be to do problem 4. Things to think about on problems 3 and 4. Problem 2 and 4. In problem 2, it says the Jackson family just bought 3 15-packs of LaCroix. On average, their family drinks about 8 cans a week. After how many weeks will there only be 5 cans left? So we have to think about the fact that they buy 3 15-packs. So how many total cans do I have? Is something to consider. And the other thing to consider is that if I'm drinking cans, does that mean that I'm earning or that I'm gaining cans, or am I losing cans when you go to set this up? In problem 4, it talks about a hot tub being drained. There's an equation to represent that. It says, how long will it take for the hot tub to be empty? Well, V is the volume, T is the time. And so if my hot tub is empty, how much water would be in there? What would the volume be? And so that would be something to consider when you're looking at using the equation that was given. All right, if you have questions, let me know. And then your homework was to do the 3.2 practice.